minus 4 equals to 0, and x plus 1 equals to 0. So the vertical asymptote of our rational function is x equals to positive 4 and x equals to negative 1. That is our vertical asymptote. Okay, that's how we find the vertical asymptote of our rational function. You need to factor the denominator of the rational function that we have. Okay, so let's write it here. So we already done looking for the vertical asymptote for our function. So let's find now the horizontal asymptote of our rational function. It says there that you need to check at the exponent or the degree of our rational function. If we have the same exponent, we're going to use the coefficient of our rational function. If we have different exponent, we're going to get the highest exponent from our rational function. Looking at the function that we have, do we have the same exponent? Do we have the same degree of exponent? Yes, we have the same. So we're not going to use the exponent to determine the horizontal asymptote of our function. Since they have the same exponent, so we're going to use the coefficient of our function. The coefficient that we have, 2 and 1. That's the coefficient of the two equation that we have in our rational function. So we're going to divide the coefficient that we have, which is 1 divided by 1 is equal to 1. So that is the horizontal asymptote of our function. Question and finding the vertical and horizontal asymptote of function.
Another example.
Another example. Okay na, can I clear the screen? For example, we have this function, which is 2x plus 5 over x squared minus 3x plus 4. And we need to find out the vertical and the horizontal asymptote of our function. So let's start with our vertical. Again, the vertical asymptote, you need to factor the denominator of our function. It's the same of what we have a while ago. Do we have the same factor? Yes or no? Same ba ng factor kanina na x minus
Yeah.
4, x plus 4? Yeah? Sure na? What is the factor of x squared minus 3x plus 4? For us to get the vertical asymptote. What's the factor? X squared minus 3x plus 4. The factor of the equation is what? X minus 4 and then x plus 1. That is the factor that we have according to Chloe. Is it correct? Do you agree with Chloe that this is the factor that we have for the equation x squared minus 3x plus 4? Tama ba? So it will not, it's not. Because according to Chloe, magiging negative ang 4. Which is not. It should be positive 4. So what is the factor of our equation?
4 and negative 1.
4 and negative 1. Binaliktad yung sign. It will be positive 4 and then negative 1 according to Bernadette. Any idea what's the factor of x squared minus 3x plus 4?
uh, x negative 4 and x negative 1.
According to Job, x negative 4, x negative 1. Meron pa ba ibang factor? Oh, yes, Gabby, do you have something to give or to share for the factor of x squared minus 3x plus 4?
Um, the
The what?
I didn't have anything to say. I thought it was funny to mute and turn off my camera.
If we're going to use this factor that Job is given, which is x minus 4 and x minus 1, we will not be getting a negative 3x. What we're going to get is negative 5x. But we will be having a positive 4, which is correct. But if we're going to use the factor that Bernadette gave, we will be having positive 3x and negative 4. So what is the correct factor of our equation? Walang factor. Ang x squared minus 3x plus 4. It doesn't have? Walang factor. Ang x squared minus 3x plus 4.
No,
Yes, Gabby. Does it have or it doesn't have?
no factor.
No factor. It doesn't have a factor. So since we cannot factor this equation that we have, which is x squared minus 3x plus 4, our vertical asymptote will be x equal to 0 since we cannot find the correct factor of x squared minus 3x plus 4. So we are done with the vertical asymptote. Now let's proceed with the horizontal asymptote. So horizontal asymptote, we have two rules in finding the horizontal. First, check the exponent of our function. If we have the same exponent, we're going to divide the coefficient of the first term of our rational function. If they have different exponent, we're going to get the degree of the highest exponent, or which function has the highest exponent. So looking at the rational function that we have, do we have the same degree of function or equation? Do we have the same degree? No, since we don't have the same degree, since the exponent or the degree of this equation is 1 and the other one is 2, so you're going to get the highest power of degree as your horizontal asymptote. And the highest degree that we have is 2. So that is your horizontal asymptote. The highest degree is the one that you're going to get. Okay? If you have different exponent, always the denominator, the exponent of the denominator is the one that you're going to get in your horizontal asymptote. Laging denominator, once they have a different exponent, get the exponent of the denominator of your rational function. Okay? Laging denominator ha? Okay, sabon. So let's proceed an example of an oblique asymptote. So you will get an oblique asymptote if the degree of the numerator is greater than the degree of the denominator. So that means if your rational function has a degree which is higher than the denominator, for example, this function that we have. As you can see here, the exponent at the numerator part of our rational function is 3 and the degree of our denominator is 2, wherein the numerator is greater than the denominator. So to find the asymptote of this type of rational function, you're going to divide the entire equation by its denominator. So let's divide. X cubed x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 5 divided by the denominator that we have, which is x squared minus 3x plus 4. Do you still remember how to divide polynomials?
That's impossible. That's impossible.
That's impossible. It
Don't
is
just don't give us that question
possible.
on the exam. That just looks mad. That just looks mad. Long division. It really means its name. Long division. That is scary to look at. That
You
is
can use synthetic division if you want, if you don't want to use long division. The synthetic division is the synthetic, the shorter method for dividing polynomials. But I hope you still remember how to divide. Do you still remember how to divide polynomials using division and synthetic?
uh,
No na. Lahat ng
teach
quiz
us,
puro
teach us.
synthetic division. You're going to find the oblique asymptote in the quiz. You're obliged to divide the polynomial. Sige, let's use the long division. Dividing the numerator by its denominator for us to know the oblique asymptote of our rational function. So x squared minus 3x plus 4 divided by x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Let's start with the cube. X cubed divided by x squared minus 3x plus 4 is equal to what? X cubed divided by x squared.
X
X,
X
X. You have X. So let's write it here. X. So multiply the quotient that you divide. The answer when you divide x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x to x squared minus 3x plus 4. So x times x squared will be x cubed. X times negative 3x will be negative 3x squared. x times 4 will be positive 4x. Subtract. So we canceled x cubed. 2x squared minus negative 3x squared is equal to what?
What?
2x squared 2x squared minus negative 3x squared 5x squared. We have 5x squared. So negative 3x minus 4x is equal to x ba?
Huh?
Negative 3x minus 4x.
Wait, teacher, why negative 3x? Oh, never mind. Do not, never.
What?
7x.
Negative 3x minus 4x.
-7.
Negative 7x
Ah, okay.
5.
Oops.
Okay. So divide. 5x squared divided by x squared. 5. We have positive 5. And multiply. So we're having 5x squared minus 15x plus 20. Subtract. So 5x squared will be cancelled out. So negative 7x minus negative 15x is equal to positive 8x. And 5 minus 20 is equal to negative 15. So that is the remainder that we will be having if we divide x cubed plus 2x squared minus 3x plus 5 to x squared minus 3x plus 4. But your oblique asymptote will be your x plus 5 only, not including the remainder when you divide the numerator to the denominator. Okay. So it's only x plus 5 is our oblique asymptote. We're going to disregard the remainder that we have when we divide the numerator and the denominator of our rational function. Question. What will happen to the remainder? Nothing. We're just going to ignore the
Throw it
remainder.
in the bin.
Since we're just looking for the oblique asymptote, we're just going to get this one. We're not going to include the remainder in our answer for the asymptote that we are looking for our rational function. Okay? Ignoring the remainder. Okay? And any more question about the oblique asymptote?
Teacher, could you
Yes.
explain what I just witnessed?
Explain what you have witnessed. If you still remember the dividing polynomials, it will be easy to find the oblique. But if you forgot it already, it will be hard to find the oblique asymptote. Yes, Gabby, you're raising your hand.
Is there an easier way? An easier and shorter way?
To find the oblique?
Yes.
No,
Try
there
some
is no easy
formula.
way.
No, 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 no.
No,
You lied
we
to
don't have
me.
we, we don't have formula for the oblique asymptote. That's the easiest one. You need to divide the numerator to its denominator. It's the easiest one to find the asymptote is the horizontal and the vertical. But when it comes to oblique, you need to solve or divide the numerator and the denominator. So yeah, let's have another example in finding the asymptote of our rational function. Can I clear the screen? Okay na. For example, we have this rational function f of x is equal to 2x minus 3 over 5x plus 10. So we need to find our horizontal and our vertical asymptote. So let's start with your horizontal. Again, in horizontal, you need to check the exponent of our rational function. If we have the same exponent, we're going to use the coefficient. Do we have the same exponent or degree? Yes, we have the same. So we're going to use the coefficient of our rational function. So y is equal to 2 over 5. So that is our horizontal asymptote. Since we cannot simplify 2 over
0.4.
5 anymore. You want
0.4.
what
There's no need
decimal?
for this. We're gonna do long. Wait.
Oh, 0 point. What's the decimal? 0 point what? 0 0.4. If you want decimal, fine. So that is your horizontal asymptote. So let's proceed with the vertical. Again, for find the vertical, you need to factor out your denominator. So let's factor the denominator of our rational function. What's the factor of 5x plus 10? Oh, what's the factor?
5 times x plus 2.
Okay, so we have 5 times x plus 2. That's the factor of 5x plus 10. So we're going to get the factor that has a variable of 0 and equate it equals to 0. So x plus 2 equals to 0. So the vertical asymptote that we will be having is negative 2. That is our vertical asymptote. Okay, question in this example.
Okay, wait.
Question
How do you find the horizontal asymptote again?
again to find the horizontal. If they have the same exponent, you're going to divide the coefficient of your variable x. But if they have different exponent, for example, the exponent of this numerator is 1 and the exponent of the denominator is 2, always get the denominator, exponent of your denominator. Okay. For example, here, if we're going to change it, your horizontal will become 2 since that is the exponent of the denominator. Okay? When do we
Killing
use
her.
the long division? You're going to use the long division if you have a higher exponent for your numerator. For example, if you have a rational function, which is, let's say, you have f of x equals to 2x fourth minus 3, and you have x squared plus 1. As you can see, we have the higher exponent or the numerator as the one who has the highest exponent, which is 4. That's the exponent of our numerator. If you have a higher exponent for your numerator, you need to find the oblique asymptote. Okay. Okay. If if the denominator is the one who have the higher exponent, that is your horizontal. You will not be having an oblique. But if you have a higher number of exponent in the numerator, you will not be having a horizontal, but instead you will going to get an oblique asymptote. Okay? Let's have another example. For example, we have this rational function, which is g of x is equal to 1 over x minus 1. So we're going to find the vertical, the horizontal, or are we going to have an oblique asymptote? So let's find first our vertical asymptote. So vertical asymptote, we don't need to factor x minus 1 because it's only x minus 1. So that's already x minus 1 equals to 0. So our vertical asymptote is equal to positive 1. That is our vertical asymptote. Since x minus 1 doesn't need to be factored out. So let's proceed with our horizontal asymptote. So look at the equation or rational function that we have. We have g of x equals to 1 over x minus 1. What can you say about the rational function that we have?
They have the same
The same
weight.
the same weight? Does it have the same weight? Does our numerator have an exponent? A vari- Does it have an exponent?
No.
No. So what will be our horizontal asymptote?
1 x. Wait, no. 1 over x.
1 over x. So according to Bernadette, our horizontal asymptote is 1 over x. Diba? When we are getting the horizontal asymptote, we should check the exponent of the variable of our function. Since the numerator of our function is not, or if we don't have the variable in our numerator, that means your horizontal asymptote is 0. Okay? So that is the horizontal asymptote that we will be having for our rational function g of x equals to 1 over x minus 1. Question in this example that we have.
Teacher, can you explain how it's 0 again? I forgot.
Okay, how is it become 0? It becomes 0 because the numerator doesn't involve a variable that we can classify the exponent of our rational function. Means we will be having a 0 horizontal asymptote. Okay. Any more question about this example that we have? Okay na, with this example, can I clear the screen? Okay, let's try another example. For example, we have this rational function. F of x equals to 2 over x. What will be the vertical asymptote of our function? Give me the vertical asymptote. What's the vertical asymptote? How do we find? Paano nga natin kunin ang vertical asymptote? What are we going to do to get the vertical asymptote? Factor. Sabi ni Berna that we're going to factor the denominator. And our denominator is only x. So what is the factor of x?
0.
0. So our vertical asymptote is equal to 0. What about our horizontal asymptote?
0.
0. So our horizontal asymptote is also 0 because we don't have a variable at our numerator to find the horizontal asymptote for our function. What about this one? What will be the vertical, the horizontal, or are we going to have an oblique asymptote for the function h of x equals to x squared plus 3x over x?
Yeah, oblique.
We're going to have an oblique. So let's find the oblique asymptote of our function. So we're going to divide x squared plus 3x divided by x to find the oblique asymptote of our function. So x squared divided by x is equal to
X.
x. So we have x squared. So 3x divided by x is equal to 3. So the oblique asymptote of our function is x plus 3. That is our oblique asymptote. Okay na? On how to get the asymptote of the function.
So, teacher, pag ganyan, walang vertical.
Merong vertical, but the horizontal we will not be having. Since we have oblique, no need to find the horizontal. The only asymptote that we can have is the oblique and the vertical. So what is the vertical asymptote for this function?
0.
0. X is equal to 0. Question about this example that we have. For h of x is equal to x squared plus 3x over x. If you don't want to use the long division to find the oblique asymptote, you may use the synthetic. If you still remember synthetic, you're going to get the coefficient of all the terms in your polynomial. So let's have another example. For example, we have this function. Y is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 4 over x. Are we going to have an horizontal or an oblique asymptote?
Oblique.
Oblique. So we're going to have an oblique asymptote. Sige, can you divide x squared plus 3x minus 4 divided by x? What will be the quotient? of x squared plus 3x minus 4 divided by x. What will be your oblique asymptote? Tara na for the oblique asymptote for our function. What's the oblique asymptote? What's the oblique?
I'll tell you my answer after you solve it.
You're going to say your answer after I solve it. What's the oblique? Y is equal to what? Give me the answer. X. X only. X lang ang oblique natin.
Chloe only knew it had an X at the start, but she's not gonna continue because she's uncertain of the rest. You throw the ball, but you don't chase the ball. Finish the ball. I mean, catch the ball now. Get the ball. What's the rest?
What's the other? X and what?
Plus 3.
Plus 3. So that is our oblique asymptote for the function x squared plus 3x minus 4 over x. So what will be your vertical asymptote? X is equal to
One.
0. So that is our vertical asymptote and the oblique asymptote that we will be having for our rational function x squared plus 3x minus 4 over x. What about this function? What is the asymptote of the function x squared plus 3x minus 28
Here, I
over x cubed
don't see
minus
anything. I don't see anything
11x
there.
squared plus 28x. Let's start with the vertical. I mean horizontal. Are we going to have an horizontal or an oblique asymptote? Horizontal. You're going to have an horizontal asymptote since the degree of the denominator is greater or higher than the numerator. So since we have an horizontal asymptote, so what will be your horizontal asymptote? Y is equal to,
3.
and then, Pilan? Y is equal to?
Two forces clash in both my headphones.
What's our horizontal asymptote? Since we have different exponents, we're going to get
The bigger one.
the bigger one. So your horizontal is 3. So that is y equals to 3. That is our horizontal asymptote. What about our vertical asymptote? Factor. Get the factor of the denominator. X cubed minus 11x squared plus 28x. For us to have our vertical asymptote. We have the factor for x cubed minus 11x squared plus 28x